Coming from you live on the road with the enhanced potato cam, but still a potato cam. We just had sensory overload the race. This should not be the 2024 Food City 500. This should be the sensory overload 500, because I don't think there was a moment there wasn't something happening, whether good or bad, on this track. My God, that was crazy. And do I at least look better than yesterday? We got the we have the Chevelle in the background. If I can, that side, we got. There you go. We got that in the background. But man, like absolute insanity today. I'm looking at what people think, and you know what? I am gonna ask it in a poll. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We got a lot to break down in this one, but let's start out with a poll. And it's just a simple yes or no. Did you have fun? I swear I think faster than that when it comes to words. I'm just typing. Did you have fun? Yes or no? Listen, I picked the weekend. I picked Eckes for last night. I won this one. So, by the way, if you're watching the podcast, NASCAR Weekly Podcast, will be on this Wednesday. Ellie Productions will be on, and you can see I think we'll have a new points leader. I'll just say that. But what a crazy race. Let's start breaking down this race. Wow. It's just something else, man. Something else. But this was the 2024 Food City 500. This race was, and I'm like copying down stats as I'm looking through this stuff too. So much going on in this race. I didn't have time to actually get the full lineup written down so I could look at. So I have to have NASCAR.com up. But this race was 500 laps, 3 hours, 20 minutes, 40 seconds. For some, probably felt longer. We have Alex Bowman on the screen right now getting interviewed. It is muted, but I have it up. I should probably do that for more often on these things. 54 lead changes, a new track record. I want y'all to spam in the chat because of 54 lead changes, new track record. Spam it in the chat. New track record, 54 lead changes, shattering the previous 40 that this race had, or this track had. And it wasn't like there was a limited amount of leaders. 16 leaders on the day, 9 caution flags. We were actually really close to 10 multiple times in that last run, but NASCAR let them go. It's amazing when you let the best drivers of stock car racing in the world do their thing. They can show you just how damn good they are, even though a lot of it was survival. I will say a lot of this race was survival. We should not overlook that. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe if you're new. We have over 740 watching already on a beautiful Sunday evening. And while we're at it, as we go through the finishing order, stop spamming new track record and spam happy birthday to my mom. I hope you're watching at home, Mom. Happy birthday. It's her birthday tomorrow, but I'm not going to be live tomorrow because I'll be celebrating her birthday. But let's get into the finishing order of this race. Dennis the Menace, Denny Hamlin, gets the win by almost a solid second, 1.083 seconds over Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski in third. Alex Bowman with a solid fourth place finish, did what he had to do on that last run when it came to saving the tires and going his longest out there. I can't remember the last time somebody led by a lap. And he was ahead by a lap at one point until Denny got by him. Kyle Larson, fifth. That is your lead lap cars on the day. 5 lead lap cars on the day as the light behind me just moved. So it's crazy, man. Everything's going nuts. We got ghosts in the garage here moving stuff around. I appreciate you guys wishing her happy birthday. That is awesome. Great stuff. But yeah, I mean, top 5, that's it. Those are the only ones on the lead lap. And the thing is, we were very close. If something happened to Truex and Keselowski, we were very close to our first 1 lap win since, God, it's got to be the 90s or 80s, somewhere in there. I'm not a record book in my head. I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know that. But anyway, let's get to the finishing order. The rest of the field here. 6, John Hunter Nemechek leading the way for Legacy. Great run for him today. Then you got Chris Buescher in 7th. 8th is Chase Elliott. Much needed top 10. From there, you have Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell that basically round out your top 10, meaning, if I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 of the top 10 be Toyota drivers. Michael McDowell, so close to a top 10, ran up there a lot of the day, finishes 11th. Josh Berry, the tires just didn't last for him. He finishes 12th. Those are the guys 1 lap down. 13th place, Chase Briscoe, 2 laps down on the day, as is Ryan Preece in 14th. Great runs overall for Stewart-Haas Racing, all things considered. Ross Chastain, 15th, 2 down. Ryan Blaney could not be the only Ford to fight up with the Toyotas today. He finishes 16th at the end of the day, 2 down. Justin Haley gets a 17th place finish, 2 laps down. 18th is Daniel Suarez, and 19th will be Kaz Grala. 20th is Eric Jones. Eric Jones in 20th is also 2 laps down. So is Corey LaJoie in 21st, and 22nd place Joey Logano. This is the best finish, I believe, this season for Logano, or one of, and he started up front but went straight to the back. 23rd is 2 laps down for AJ Allmendinger. Austin Dillon, 24th. 25th is Kyle Busch. And that is another just bad run, bad pit crew, bad everything happened to him today. He'll be the last guy 2 laps down. Todd Gilliland kind of became, I'd say, a moving chicane out there at the end. 3 laps down in 26th. Hocevar, 27th, 3 down. Daniel Hemrick, 28th, 4 laps down, as is Bubba Wallace in 29th. Tyler Reddick struggled when it came to the finishing order today. 30th, 5 laps down, as is Austin Cindric and Harrison Burton and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Noah Gragson, after having a really good start to the season, finishes 6 laps down and 34th. And last car on track, 35th place, William Byron, 8 laps down. Zane Smith, the only driver out of the race today. And, man, I mean, just absolute insanity when it comes to the way this race played out overall. And I'm, I think it's going to be a more positive reviewed race. But I also do think that there's going to be a lot of people complaining about this. If you're asking me, and listen, this probably goes against what a lot of people think I'm going to say, I had a blast today. And it wasn't because I picked the winner. It wasn't because there was a bunch of craziness and wrecks and flat tires. This race to me was really awesome despite all of the things going against it. And I am so hoping, because I think the tire compound does need a bit of tweaking. And changing. I'll just say straight up changing, not even tweaking. It does need some changes. I think that we still had a really great race, though. And, if it's me, I'm saying I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I know a lot of people are going to complain. I know I'm going to get comments going all out after me, after the stream. Is done. And I see all y'all are already in there. Some of you getting pretty mad at me liking it, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I think if you change it a little bit, you should be able to get a really good tire for the night race. I think that they got better at conserving, but I think I so hope that Goodyear does not stray away from having tires that wear. I think we need this. We need tires that wear, especially at short tracks, to have that comer and goer mentality, to have that ability to just have good racing at these tracks. Maybe it's the intermediate track package. Maybe the intermediates need to be package needs to be used here. It's worth a shot. I see Alan Bailey in the chat. Love his channel. Definitely subscribe to him. And he says, this race was pure racecraft at its finest. All elements that motorsports are in a single race. 9.5 out of 10. And that's for me what I like about it. I like the fact that you saw the drivers who were over aggressive paid the price for it. And the comp that I keep going back to, and I know I didn't watch one of these races live. I've watched them after the fact. I've talked to people who have been there and have watched them. To me, this reminds me of everything about a Rockingham race, of how worn out the track would get, of how, 10 laps into a run you needed to pit for tires. Maybe, again, tweaking definitely needed to be done with the tires in the future, because this could have easily turned into an all-out just wreckfest shit show. But I think Goodyear is on the right track. I would rather them be over-aggressive on how soft the tires are rather than have a rock-hard tire that's going to be boring as hell and we're just going to have a single line the whole time. And for all of you fans that want old Bristol, this race to me also leaned more old Bristol, in my opinion. It was not exactly the same, but the bottom line was clearly the line that more often than not drivers needed to go to run fast, to save tires, to do whatever. The marbles going up the track really eliminated that high line. You get up there, you're basically, it's like driving on ice. I think that, again, right track. We don't need to have it be exactly like the 2000s. We also don't need to probably have it be the way it was in the 2010s. I think that Bristol is it's a track that's very hard to ruin when you have an unbiased look at it. I'm not saying I'm unbiased with it. I love old Bristol more, but I had fun with this race. I see some in the chat saying, don't use it at Dover. Again, I think little tweaks to it, but I do not think it's as far gone as so many people are saying. NASCAR fans, of course, we're going to be all over the place about it, but I'm sorry, maybe I'll just do this after races I have a lot of fun with. We'll start with a fun 15-minute monologue. I feel like that scene in Incredibles with Syndrome. You caught me monologuing. And over 900 watching. Lick that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And you know what? Also, on top of all that, share this with people. Let's see if we can get over 1,000 people in here partying after a Bristol race, just like it should be. Let's talk about this race. I will fully admit the first stage, I did not hear the broadcast. I watched the race. No problem with that. But I had it muted because I was actually getting some tax stuff done. So that way I wouldn't have to be doing it after having such fun. The day just got better for me as it went. I'll just say that. But Ryan Blaney on the pole. And I'll say this, for a spring Bristol race, and I think all of us remember how 2018, 19, 17, 16, yes, some of those rained to Monday or having rain issues. But I think all of us in a lot of ways remember just how much the stands were barren. And it's a big reason why I think NASCAR changed to dirt for a while. And you know what? A lot of people showed up to that. I will say this, though. I do think that there was, for a spring Bristol race, a very good showing for the crowd. Again, this place holds, I think now, after taking seats out and stuff like that, somewhere between 120, 140,000. And that place, I could definitely see it was clearing out a little at the end of the race, whether or not people were upset or just catching traffic or whatever, getting ahead of traffic. But, I mean, early on, I'd say it was around I'm seeing Charkzilla say 80,000. I wouldn't say it was necessary. If it's 120,000 is the max, I wouldn't say. But if 140,000 is still what it holds like it did a couple years ago, I would say that's a pretty close assessment. Bristol's the only place that can make 60 to 80,000 people look small, other than Indianapolis, I'll say. So good showing by the Bristol crowd. People had talked about wanting this race back. They, begged for it during the dirt years. I liked the dirt, but I understood why it left. And fans, But I know you guessed, but I'm just saying, it's like if it is around that area of 140,000, that's where it'd be. I'll say this, man. They showed out with their wallets. I hope people watched on TV. It was a very entertaining race, in my opinion. And I think it was a great palate cleanser after Phoenix. The front stretch looked great. I mean, I'd been watching that for a couple weeks because I thought maybe I'd go or not. Ended up not, which is fine. But shout out to the Bristol crowd on that one. I think, we like to complain about crowds not being good. We need to 146,000, and 80,000 seems in the area, even if it's not, even if it's not necessarily looking full and not a good look. I won't say best race of the year. I think Atlanta currently gets that. I don't want to be too much a prisoner of the moment, even though we could probably call these post-race shows this. But let's get to it. So early on, we got a lot of lead changes. We got Josh Berry to lead. We had Hamlin leading, Logano, Byron. There was contact, caution for debris. The 24 making contact with Logano caused, I believe it broke toe link is what they said. Again, I did not have the audio on for that part of the race, so I was purely watching visually. Pretty much ended the day for William Byron on that one. You get restarted lap 31, and Reddick basically spins from the lead. He's like, hey, Denny spun battling for the lead last week. Why don't I do it this week? So maybe it means we pick Reddick for Coda? Maybe. Just saying. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun, too, if they do a couple minor necessary changes, too. Bubba Wallace and Josh Berry were up front, and Bubba got the lead at first. Barry then got a little bit ahead from there. But again, a lot of guys who I don't think we normally saw be racy were very racy today. Josh Berry was up there. The Rick Ware cars routinely were top 10 cars today. Among others, we had the Spire guys at different points until, and we'll talk about it in a bit, until they went crazy with the tire strategy on one of those restarts. But we saw a lot of people up front that necessarily aren't normally up front, and at least good running days. Maybe not good finishes, but good running days for them. Which I should probably, now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably put the post-race results up top for you guys coming in here. See where your driver finished, just in case you didn't see it on the broadcast. But, Bubba would get back to first ahead of Barry. Then a couple laps later, it was Denny. Then it was Chase Elliott getting up to the lead. We had a caution for Zane Smith having a flat, tire issues. The 11 and 12 are up front, and they're battling back and forth with the lead. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then, of course, I believe either one of the last or one of the big cautions would be Kyle Busch getting up into the wall and spinning. Denny got up into the wall. He pushed it early. I think that was good for his race. I think he learned early what to do, and he was able to, again, be the smarter driver. I mean, look at the guys in the top 5. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Larson. Bowman is the odd one out, but Bowman, again, is not a bad driver. In fact, I think he's a very smart driver. All 5 of those drivers are smarter drivers, older drivers when it comes to the top 3. The top 3 finishers of this race were the experienced drivers who I think personally had to race longer in a NASCAR where you had to conserve tires and have, a better showing of racecraft throughout the race to keep yourself up front. The veterans showed out today. It was, yes, I know that Gibbs was up front. I know that Bell was up front. I know that JGR was a couple issues away from a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish. I know that it's not necessarily where they ran all day, but when you look at the end, when it matters most, when they have to finish up front, that top 3 especially, that is a top 3 from 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And to me, I want to see more races like that. Again, maybe not with the tires blowing out. I don't think that that's what I want, but I want to see drivers have to be put to the absolute edge, whether it's with strategy, whether it's with racing their competition, whatever it might be. These are the best drivers in the world at this form of racing. I want to see them have to show out like those top 2 did today, and I think they did a great job of conserving while battling each other for the win, going back and forth in the last 20 laps. I liked it. So anyway, long-winded way of saying stage 1 ends with Ty Gibbs winning over Larson, Buescher, Truex, and Brad Keselowski. John Hunter Nemechek, again, great day for him and Legacy Motor Club overall because of him being up there. Ryan Blaney in 7th. Ryan Preece up there in 8th. He and Stewart-Haas Racing had good cars. Maybe finishes didn't show just how good they were during this race. Josh Berry in 9th, and 10th was Christopher Bell. We flipped the page to stage 2 here. I'll read super chats after. I want to make sure that we have a lot of going through this, and I can see what you guys are putting in there because I want to know what you guys think when it comes to this. Let's see, keep the tire for sure. It was entertaining, and I think if the drivers have to conserve their stuff and go to that length at the end of these races, so be it. Again, I would personally have little tweaks, but I don't want them to stray if they're going to change anything too far from this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Let's look at what the poll has on the community tab here. And it looks like people are pretty positive. There's a little more negative than normal for a Bristol race, but a lot of positivity overall. So stage 2 starts out with Larson and Brad up front. Larson would lead. Gibbs gets by him. Then Truex gets a couple laps up front. Then Gibbs again gets it. Then Larson. Then Tyler Reddick. Hamlin. I mean, just constant battling. At one point, the pack was definitely holding back. It's kind of like if you're in cross country and one of your drills, one of the drills I had in that to conserve energy but also learn how to kick better, was all of you guys go in a line. So like say there's 7 of you guys on a run. You go off into a line, you put intervals on it, and you say, let's say, I don't know, 5 minutes, right? And at the pace we're going, 5 minutes was about a mile. Like a little, maybe let's say 3/4 of a mile. And when that 5 minutes hit, the guy in the back would run up front and he'd lead the way. So, maybe he's a little slower, but you're going to intervals. You have people that learn how to kick, and you go like that. That's how stage 2 of this race felt to me. You could tell that they were holding back a little bit, trying to save. They were not going balls to the wall on it. And all of this, of course, ended with a crash where Stenhouse hits McDowell, Zane Smith, Hemrick, all of them. But you had the same thing all over again. Buscher would stay out leading with 2 tires. He'd try it out. Didn't really work. We have another caution. Kyle Busch just around. Just a no good, very bad day for Kyle Busch. And at this point, we see the difference of tires and just how much it is and how they still can go like all out with worn tires, and it just will not make a difference against fresh tires, which to me, I think this is how racing should be. The 77 stay out is 777 on the front row here. They restart without pitting, and they have a freight train run on them. I think Hocevar was like outside the top 20 in 5 laps, which at Bristol is insane. 3 and 4 wide around him. Logano was roughing up Bell at the end. He's trying to get the lead, gets the lead, only for Ty Gibbs then to get past him, like 2 laps to go. Ty Gibbs sweeps the stages of this race over Bad Brad, Logano in 3rd, 4th is John Hunter Nemechek, 5th is Christopher Bell, Truex, Hamlin, Larson, Bubba, and Preece, your top 10. And I'll say this, this final stage to me, you could tell they finally had gotten their bearings. Again, probably a reason they need practice, because to me, while that first 2 stages, the first half of the race was a ton of fun, and I loved watching it, and I would pay to see a race like that. I will say this too. I think the second half of this race was way more intriguing, to me at least. The first half, you got your chaos of tires. The second half, you got the smart racing and strategy with tires. And this is why, to me, we need practice. And I think that if they have this package and this tire at Dover, I am almost guaranteeing that they'll add at least 30 minutes of practice in there for them. Because I think it was more intriguing once they got it going. When it came to that. So final stage, we get restarted. It is Gibbs getting the lead over Truex. Truex looked really good today. I loved it. This race. To me, was a Martin Truex kind of race, not in the sense of like, oh, he's gonna lead and make it boring, but more just it fit to me how he drives a race car, and it was so fun to see him legitimately run fast and up front in this race. To me, and this is how I think if the racing was like this more often, this is how Truex would dominate, or at least be the way he was, say, in 2017, 18, 19, around that era. By the way, I see people saying it in the chat, and mods, if people bring up politics, ban them from this channel. We don't want that shit here. We are here to have fun. We are not here to bring everybody down with crap we're going to hear about everywhere else in our life. No politics in here. So ban it. You have my blessing on it. You have the authority to do it. If they're going to bring that crap up, shut it down. Because I can't do it with so much going on here, man. And I'm like a glass case of emotion right now with this. So, in the final half of the race here, again, you're still having the back and forth. You're having Truex get the lead. He gets it from Gibbs a couple laps later. Again, you have the spins. Josh Berry is kind of, where he gets a little further back in the race. You got Denny getting the lead on a restart, only for Gibbs to get by. Gibbs, to me, had the fastest car out there. And I think if this is the Ty Gibbs of, say, 5 years in the future, Ty Gibbs probably wins this race because he'd race smarter. Yeah, and by the way, click that like button. Let's go over 300 likes as we're going here. We haven't hit it yet, but we've been pushing that 1,000 number again, which I appreciate a ton. We're going to just keep having fun with this thing, man. And again, super chats be read after we talk about the race itself. We'll keep talking about points of it. And again, you have these runs go 40, 50, 60, 70 laps on tires. Guys are at this point, just trying to nurse it around to make it further so they can then make it further in the next run and the next run and the next run from there. And you could see these smart long-term plays these teams were making. Some of them were forced into strategies we'll talk about in a bit. But again, up front, it was just the Gibbs show at the end of this race for the most part. 1, 2, 3, 4 for about 50, 70 laps, somewhere in there. A full run, I know at one point was like that. Of course, you have Stenhouse and Cindric getting to a wreck. The 38 involved, I think, in that too. But the last 120 of this race is pure and utter strategy, which, again, I love in the modern era of NASCAR because you can see how rusty some are and how well-seasoned others are. Last 100 laps or so, you got Gibbs and Bell getting past Denny. You can tell Denny is saving tires at this point. Others are going fast. It is, I know I keep going back to this point. There is, to me, no coincidence that the two older drivers of Joe Gibbs Racing are the ones who made it to the end and finished where they ran today, whereas the two younger drivers were the ones who finished at the back half of the top 10 a lap down. And I think that this is a learning experience for a lot of drivers, I think, in this race. But with 75 to go, we got Denny leading. Multiple cars are having tire issues. There's tons going flat. At this point, I'm almost thinking, man, we might have to get a caution because of just the discrepancy in speed and the closing rates. But these guys, again, are great race car drivers. They all kept it together. Nobody spun. There were some that were damn well trying. They were trying, but they didn't end up having that happen. And we get through that run. NASCAR just let them run. And at one point, Alex Bowman had stayed out longer than anyone else. And for a solid 5 laps or so, Alex Bowman was leading by over a lap at Bristol. And when's the last time that's happened for a sustained amount of time? Not just like, people pitting or a glitch or anything like that. Like, when's the last time that you can remember somebody on the leaderboard under green, staying out a couple laps extra, but it's saying -1 lap for second, like it did for Denny Hamlin? Didn't last long, but I think it's so cool to see. And I think we were probably 5 laps away from possibly that happening at the end. I mean, he was definitely going to lap the other two. And if something happens to Brad or Truex or Hamlin and one of those guys is able to stay out and outlast them all, man, I mean, good stuff. Good stuff. So Denny cycles out the leader. He's about 2 seconds or so ahead of Martin Truex Jr. They are flying through tons of lap traffic, and with about 20 to go, I think it was Austin Dillon he gets stuck behind. And Truex closes up like that. He is right behind him. They get caught up in traffic. Denny gets held up in traffic, I believe by Gilliland at this point. Truex gets by with 18 laps to go. Now the roles are reversed. It is Truex getting chased by Denny. They go through about 3 more laps, and Truex gets held up in lap traffic. Denny gets a nose around him, gets past him, and the rest of the way, they are just dogging each other. Again, this stuff is stuff that normally I would say NASCAR fans are going to be happy and love, but unfortunately, I understand why people would be upset, but to me, I can't be. I can't. I mean, this was a great race. I loved this race. Call me a bootlicker, call me what you will. If I had to see, I don't know, if I had to see, if you told me, okay, this one track has to have 6 races a year, And we've seen the racing we've seen this year from all the first 5 races, and last year from all the other tracks. We see what the next gen puts on. I'd say it'd be between Bristol, the way it is at this moment, with the way that the package and tires and everything were today, and probably Kansas and Charlotte Oval. Like, this was right up there for completely different reasons, and it was such a breath of fresh air. And the thing is other than Dover, I don't think you can recreate this, so it will remain, if we have races like this, and again, maybe not with as many flats or crazy stuff with cording, it will remain special, because they can't just build another concrete track with this kind of parameter, with this kind of tire compound and package and everything like that. That's where I'm so happy. I mean, yeah, you know what? Give it a shot at Richmond. Or if it's, 2 weeks away from Richmond, I believe, you can't do it in time, you can't change stuff like that, give it a shot at Iowa. You got plenty of time to test it. You have to nail this because of the hype around this race from the local community and NASCAR fans at large. Give it a shot. Because if we have anything remotely like this for Iowa, it's going to be a banger. That track is too good to have a bad short track race. But yeah, Denny holds on, gets the win by just about a full second, and the rest is history behind him. I don't, man. I don't know what to tell you. I get that we can have nitpicks. Nitpicks are fine. I am a nitpicker on that stuff. Nitpicks are okay in my book, because they are reasons that we can give to improve that just mean it was great, here's how it can be better. Whereas like full-on complaints, I can't complain. Like, give it a shot at North Wilkesboro. They did a test. Maybe that's part of what they're testing. I don't know what exactly it was. Again, been on the road. But yeah, I had fun with this thing, man. I see a lot of you guys bringing the energy, super chats as well. I've been trying to, what I'm going to try and do is do super chats after we talk about the race itself. I know it's going to mean you're going to have to wait, and I do apologize for that for you super chatters, but I want to give the attention to the chat itself. Yeah, nitpick. That's what I'm good with. So you know what? Let's get to the super chats. I want to give everyone their proper time in the sun on this one. Irvin Alvarado, thank you for the 5. My tires. Also, Bristol is now the last great tire cheese grater. They might yet have to sell those cheese grater hats you see in the NFC North that in the NFC North that fans wear. Different fans wear them for different reasons. But hey, I was at a game this year, and it was fun seeing the back and forth people had. Both sides had a lot of fun with it. I wish the internet would have that much fun. NWP picks, though, I can assure you we have a new points leader. I don't know who it is yet, but I can assure you we do. Hunter Nixon Fishing, thank you for the 5. Don't know whether to call it a disaster or entertaining. It was a little bit of both for me. This race was sensory overload is what I say. We need a full week to dissect it and take it in and just let it digest for us, which is why on Wednesday we have the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on BFM's channel. And on top of that, we got Ellie Productions coming on. Ellie is going to be a ton of fun to have on. Cannot wait to talk to him about this, especially since he is a Truex fan, if my memory serves me right. So close for him. M. Martin fan for life. Thank you for being a member for a year now. Now that was a race. How they drove mattered. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And that's what, it's almost a lost art for a lot of these drivers. CBB, thank you for the 5. It's like we have been saying this whole time. The short track package is great, and we certainly don't need more horsepower. Steve Phelps probably, except this wasn't the short track package. This was the intermediate package. It worked well. I'm really excited for Dover because Dover's raced well the last couple years, and if you add a little more tire strategy in it, whoo boy, it's going to be a blast, especially if it don't get rained out. Like, please, for the love of God, racing gods, don't bring the rain. Mother Nature can stay home for that one. Bryce, thank you for the 5. What the hell was that? That was the most insane race I think I've ever watched. I feel like we've been saying that a lot in the next gen era. We can say what we want about the car. definitely needs some change in here and there. But listen, I still think it's better than the Gen 6. Yeah, Gen 6 had a higher peak, but 3 years or 2.5 years, not even 2.5 years in, I think this car is doing a really good job, especially at improvement. Daniel, thank you for the 2. About as old school racing as it gets. Loved it. David Bell, thank you for the 9-month member chat. Goodyear, please make better tires. Crazy race, but with a laughing emoji. Hey, man, I think a little bit, but I want to stay like this needs to be the nucleus of it. Like I don't want to have, them basically racing on basketballs and not having any tire wear whatsoever. It could be much worse. Twin Spinner, thank you for the 5. That race is probably the best happy accident I've ever witnessed. All right there, Bob Ross, but I do agree. It's up there at least. Vikings all day 005, like the name, for the 10 first super chat in the channel. I'm torn about this race. On one hand, the tire issues are a bad first impression and instantly give off Indy 08 vibes. True. I think that is true. On the other side, the chaos and strategy makes it so bad it's good. I think it made it good, man. Like, I like that. Like, we don't need it every week, but I do like that. Isaac, thank you for the 5. Byron's Daytona 500 win was a monkey's paw. Ever since that W, he has just had horrible luck. I think he spun at Atlanta. Garbage bag at Vegas. Broken toe link today. Yeah, but again, got that win. That's what matters in the current system. Alex, thank you for the 8-month member chat. Chase Elliott first top 10. Yes, that is right. That is right. And a much needed one at that. Scott McNew, thank you for the 5. What a race. I agree. And Bobby, thank you for the 5 as well. Damn, Truex was so close. Congrats to Hamlin, though. Beat him straight up. Can't complain. Great race. Again, yeah. Great racing. Tyler Carey, thank you for the 5. Tire fall off was probably a bit much, but this race was incredible. Strategy, passing, lap traffic, battles for the lead. Bristol is back. I don't think it went anywhere. Especially the last, years of the Gen 6, like, I thought it was a ton of fun. Wasn't maybe as great with the first race or 2 of the next gen, but I don't think it went anywhere that long when you only have 2 races on concrete in the next gen era. Cy Supersonic for 2. Oh no, Denny beat my favorite driver again. Yeah, he did just that. And those Toyotas are going to be dangerous, man. They are dangerous. And it's just going to get worse for a lot of you guys that aren't big Toyota fans. Chris, thank you for the 5. If they're shredding the tires at this speed at Bristol, they're going to knock the walls off at Dover. And Miles will be eating well. Needs tweaks. Yes, I do think needs tweaks, but again, this nucleus, this vein is the right way to go about it, in my opinion. Mittens, the racing cap for 5. This race was awesome. Mittens is satisfied. And Fred Dog 81 for 2. I am so tired of Kyle throwing backward tantrums. I think it's kind of funny, but to each their own. Nap Racing Fan 927 for the 2. The 2024 Cheese Grater 500 presented by Food City. Fitting. Zachary Potter, thank you for the 5. First super chat in the channel. Appreciate it a ton. First time I've ever heard a driver say they accidentally finished 5th. Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much. Matthew, thank you for the 5. HMS may have got 2 cars in the top 5, but I'm not optimistic. They were nowhere today. Please get rid of these Camaros, Mr. H. Please. Again, got to work on it, but when getting the finishes, that can at least afford you the leeway to get that improvement over time. Charkzilla, thank you for the 5. 54 lead changes today is absolutely insane, and the fact that Denny was like 12 of them retaking the lead is just as crazy. Yeah, I mean, you saw a lot today of what fans say they want. So, I like it. I like it. Tyler McGonigal, thank you for the 2. Hate it for Byron. Hate Logano. Love the race, though. I love that. An unbiased fan when it comes to grading the race. I love to see it. Fred Dog 81 for 10 was watching with friends, and they enjoyed the race, but noticed the empty seats towards the end. I think fans are still unsure about Bristol weather, and the race should be run later in spring. Thoughts? I think, yeah, probably April would be better, but you're going to deal with weather no matter what in Tennessee spring. I mean, I've learned this from living down there now going on 3 years. Mittens a Racing Cap for 2. He beat your favorite driver again. Alex, thank you for your first super chat in the channel. Super chat, I should say, for 10. Good example of a strategy race. Hard racing, minimal BS, and even Fox was all right. Reminds me of 03 to 06 and the 8 crew. Congrats to the 11. Got what we were asking for with the short track package because of tires. Maybe. I mean, it's a huge component. I think it's the biggest. Jason, thank you for the 5. I was proud of how Busch looked for that little bit before the tire disaster. Yeah. Jacob, thank you for your first super chat as well for 5. That was probably the best race I've ever seen that I never want to see again. Rock's reviews and reactions for 2. Man was hoping Truex got his first Bristol win. Ross Crash Stain, thank you for the member chat as well. William Byron P35, he's washed. Rasha to the 24. And that's gonna call it for the day. I gotta get home. Dinner is ready and waiting, and I don't want to make my family too upset having to wait for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back all week and also streaming on BFM's channel Wednesday night with Ellie Productions NASCAR Weekly Podcast. So I'm going to let you have your night. I will say this, though. If you want, how about you go raid by spamming potatoes in the chat for IDK Player. I believe he has just went live right now. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I will catch you next time. Later, y'all.